The ballroom was glowing with chandeliers and gilded mirrors, every corner filled with laughter, sparkling glasses, and the quiet hum of privilege. But when he stepped through the grand entrance, everything fell silent, as if the air itself had paused in judgment. Dressed in a simple jacket worn at the elbows, jeans faded from years of honest work and boots coated with dust, he stood out like a storm cloud in the middle of a summer sky. The laughter didn't just stop. It turned sharp. Whispers slithered across the room. Some chuckled behind wine glasses. Others turned their shoulders in passive aggression. At his side, his daughter clutched his hand a little tighter, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and hope. But the moment that shattered what little dignity remained was when a woman in a scarlet gown, her voice loud and polished with disdain, raised a hand toward him and said with icy venom, "You don't belong here. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the dignity of every human being, regardless of how they look or where they come from, take a moment to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to American Folktales, where stories like these shine a light on humanity's greatest values." He hadn't come for attention. All James Morgan wanted was to be there for his daughter. She had earned an award at her private school, an institution full of wealthy heirs and old money legacies. James, a former soldier turned small-town mechanic, had taken on extra shifts, sold his father's old tools, and even skipped meals just to afford the school scholarship uniform. And this one formal night, his daughter Ellie was brilliant, top of her class, humble, kind, and brave. James knew her success wasn't about where they came from, but who they were. He showed up proud, not of himself, but of her. The mocking began before he even reached the table. A waiter eyed his boots with contempt. Parents in sleek tuxedos shared knowing glances and smirks. Someone muttered something about dressing the part. James said nothing. Years of combat had taught him to endure louder wars than whispers. But this one, this social battlefield, was different. It pierced deeper, not for his pride, but for his daughter. She saw it all. She heard it. And he could feel her shrinking beside him, ashamed not of herself, but of him. That broke him more than any battlefield ever had. He stood quietly near the back, letting Ellie take her seat. But the woman in red, one of the school board members, wasn't going to let it go. She raised her hand as if pushing him away and declared loud enough for the whole room to hear that he had no place there. Her words were laced with the kind of poison that wounds in front of a crowd. James didn't move. He looked at Ellie, who was now holding back tears, and he nodded slightly, signaling it was okay. He would leave if it meant shielding her from humiliation. He turned slightly to go, and that's when the doors opened again. A hush fell across the crowd. The same woman who had mocked James now froze mids. The man who entered wore the full uniform of a U.S. Army general, decorated, tall, commanding. He walked with the certainty of someone who had led men into danger and brought them back. The crowd parted as if sensing authority beyond their own polished wealth. Without hesitation, the general walked straight toward James, and then, before the shocked eyes of the entire room, he stood at attention and saluted. "Commander Morgan," he said in a firm voice that echoed through the hall. "It's been too long." Gasps swept the room like a wave crashing into vanity. People turned to each other in disbelief. The woman in red took a step back, suddenly smaller than her glittering heels allowed. James gave a slight nod. The kind men who have been through unspeakable things share in quiet respect. The general turned to the crowd and said, "This man led my unit through the fiercest battle we ever faced. He saved 30 lives that day, including mine. I owe him more than I can ever repay." The mood shifted so fast it could make heads spin. Those who had mocked now looked away in shame. Some clapped awkwardly, others couldn't meet his eyes. But James didn't need their approval. He wasn't there to prove himself. He never was. His eyes found Ellie's again, now wide with pride, her tears replaced with awe. She stood up, ran to him, and hugged him tightly in front of everyone. Later that night, as they walked out of the ballroom, the general at his side, Ellie looked up at her father and said, "You belong everywhere, Dad." And for the first time in years, James allowed himself to feel the warmth of that truth. He returned home that night, not with medals or validation, but with the most powerful reward, his daughter's unwavering pride. He tucked her into bed and sat for a moment in the quiet. Outside, the world still ran on class and appearances, But in one corner of it, a girl knew that true honor didn't wear designer suits or own yachts. It wore dusty boots, calloused hands, and carried quiet courage. Sometimes the world forgets what a hero looks like until they see one stand tall in the face of cruelty, not with anger but with quiet grace. And sometimes a single moment, like a salute, can right 100 wrongs and leave a legacy that no mockery can erase. If this story touched your heart, if you believe that dignity and sacrifice deserve more than whispers and sneers, then please like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Stories. Let stories like James Morgan's reach someone who might be feeling like they don't belong because maybe, just maybe, they're more heroic than the world will ever know. Speech Balloon, tell us in the comments, have you ever been underestimated only to later be recognized for who you truly are? We'd love to hear your story.